30,000 milliwatts of power. Broadcasting almost across the valley. AM 1620, the Eagle Radio Network.
Good morning and welcome to the Saturday Morning CEO Radio Show. Happy Saturday morning to you. We have got a great show in store for you today. First thing I want to do is just make some quick little announcements and some information to tell you where you can watch us if you're watching us. I mean, if you're just listening to us and you want to use your eyes too. We are airing live on Verizon Fios in the city or the county of Riverside, California, Verizon Fios channel 45. Also, Time Warner Cable channels 0 and 126. And then also, you can watch us live. We're streaming live right now on YouTube, and you can get to that stream by going to smradio.org/YouTube. If you want to listen to us just audibly, we are on 1680 AM in the Hemet-San Jacinto area of California. And you can also catch us anywhere in the world on going to smradio.org/audio. You can also hear us in Europe and parts of Africa on satellite radio. So please tune in and listen to our show. Today, I want to do a quick little shout out to my executive assistant, who usually tweets live during the show at smradio.org/tweet. But today, we are not going to have the tweets going. She had a little procedure done at the hospital, so a little shout-out hello to MJ, and hope you get feeling better really soon. We have a great show for you today, and we're going to start off by, I think my co-host is having some problems hearing us, so we're going to hopefully get that fixed really soon. My co-host today is Larry Broughton. Larry is a former Special Forces agent. He worked with the, I believe it was the Green Berets. Good thing you can't hear me in case I said the wrong one. And he runs a chain of hotels now, and he also runs a business consulting service and consults for places like Turner Broadcasting and the Pentagon. So he is a definitely out there kind of guy. So we're glad to have Larry on the show. And while he gets his sound working, we'll go ahead and get started with our guest today. Actually, before I introduce our guest, I'll remind you also that we have, if you're watching us on Verizon Fios channel 45 or on Time Warner Cable, then today at 9:30 Pacific time, you'll be able to watch the Saturday Morning Success talk show with myself and Sandra D. Robinson, celebrity actress, and we interview guests who have had some great success in their life and are able to share that with us. So, all right, let's see. Larry, can you hear us? Not yet. Okay. So I'm going to introduce our guest today. Our guest, I'm really excited about this show today. If you ever watched a little show called the X Factor, then you may have already seen him and know him and love him probably. Freddie Combs is our guest today. He is the singer who wowed the judges when he was wheeled out in a big extra wide wheelchair, and he told the judges that he had lost almost 400 pounds. So we're really glad to have him on the show because he at one time had weighed over 900 pounds. And so we are glad to have him on the show to talk to us a little bit about goal achieving and how to overcome some of those difficulties. So let's do our little check here and see if you guys can hear us. Can you hear us? I think we're going to use our chat feature here because
hey, folks, this is Larry Broughton. Dennis, I'm not sure how we're going to do this here. So listen, hey, Dennis, it's been great. It's great to have you back as the co-host of your show. Well, as I was saying, Dennis, I'm glad to be back as your on your show. This is one of the best shows out there, I think, for CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs. And I think it's very cool that we've got Freddie on here.
Yeah, definitely glad to have Freddie Combs. Let me do another introduction here. They're going to hear it in a delay, but we'll bring Freddie on here in a second. Freddie Combs, I'll just reintroduce, was on X Factor. Sings like an angel, really wowed the judges when he performed. And he was different in one way than many of the other performers. He was wheeled out in a big wheelchair, and he announced to the judges that he used to weigh 900 and something pounds and had lost almost 400. And to this day, he has now lost 475 pounds. So very excited to have him on the show because weight loss and his singing are both things that require a lot of dedication and goal setting that we as business people have to know how to do well. So we are glad to have him on the air. I've got my own little journey of weight loss. I've lost about 30 pounds. I've got at least 5 more to go, probably close to 100. And I'll quick shout out to to Paul David, my personal trainer, and the Elevate Fitness Studio that I work out at. They've been very, very helpful, as well as Jennifer, my yoga teacher, and Amy, my spin class teacher. So thank you all for your support. And we're going to talk about some support systems too. So I'm going to bring Freddie on right now and tell us about yourself, Freddie.
Hey, Dennis. Hey, Larry. Glad to be on the show today. It's an opportunity, and it's one I'm grateful for. Greetings from Tennessee. It is nice, balmy, summery hot here, and which makes for great weight loss in the summer temps. But I am honored to be on the show.
So tell us a little bit about your journey, Freddie.
My journey has been a lifelong journey. I don't ever remember being a skinny kid. I remember my first diet being in the 4th grade, and it has been a treacherous journey of some sorts, which culminated for me being 920 in 2009, almost losing my life, which was very trying for me and my wife. But I'm grateful that we have pressed on, and I have lost almost 475 pounds now. And it has been very hard, a lot of failures, but I have learned from those failures and have been able to help a lot of people through my own experience. My experience with X Factor was due to some TV exposure that I had and was encouraged to go on X Factor. I was hesitant because of my size, because I didn't know if they would give a fat boy a chance. Because I am not the normal looking role model for the singer, the popular singer nowadays. However, I went ahead and did that, and I'm glad, as I look back in retrospect, I'm glad that I did, because it was good for me, and it was I was able to help reach out to other people who are like myself, who are large, obese, but I was also able to help people who maybe have suicidal tendencies and things like that. And it has also allowed me to grow my ministry, which in fact is reaching out to others as well.
Well, your ministry is definitely part of your life, and I'd like to find out how your appearance on X Factor has helped you with your ministry.
It has opened. It had literally slung doors wide open for me. As a matter of fact, the day that the show aired, we were pretty much thrown into the public, national and international news. The day after it aired, and we woke up the next morning, my face was everywhere, which I wasn't used to. But it brought attention to my fight with obesity, and it also showed people that big people are people too, and we do have talent, and we're not a complete waste of space. But it has allowed me to travel and reach out to some very some individuals who have faced unforgiving circumstances, and it has offered a dream to come true for me and my wife, because that is our dream, is to help people, and it has been great.
Well, I'm really glad to have this opportunity to have you share a little bit of your background. And you mentioned your wife, and I think that having support from your wife is something that we had talked about. We did a little pre-show call with you and Larry and I, that you were really talking about how important it was that you have a support system for your weight loss and your career. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about the support that you get from your wife, and how important is that for anyone else who's trying to run a business or do anything else significant in their life?
My wife is a rock to me. She has been my support. We've been married for 17 years, and she has been my support and been right there for me the entire time. She's my biggest fan, and I could not do what I do without her. Not just with physical limitations, but she backs me emotionally and spiritually. And in relation to business, it is the same in business. You have to have a good support structure. If the support structure is not there, it's going to be harder to accomplish goals. My goal weight loss is to be 250 pounds, and I know without that support structure from her, it's going to be very hard to achieve. But I have it, and I'm very grateful for that. And of course, I give her honor, and I think that it's very important to have sound friendships, sound relationships, and that will make for very what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, while you're thinking, Larry just typed happy wife, happy life. It's important to have that strong foundation with your support system, whoever that may be.
Happy wife, happy life. It'll make for a very successful business. There we go. I'm sorry.
No, that is very true. We've talked about on our show before about the importance of having a mentor to help us along, somebody who's been there before, and also about having a peer advisory group. So that whole peer advisory group is a group of people who help to support you, and you help to support them. I used to belong to a group called Vistage, that was a group of CEOs that would meet together. It's kind of an exclusive club. You had to be running $1 million a year business to be able to be a member, and it costs about $10,000 or $12,000 a year to be a member. But we helped each other with every aspects of our business. So that support system is super important. So I'm going to we've got this huge sound delay here, but I'm going to type over to Freddie to tell us a little bit about his experience on X Factor.
I first tried out for X Factor in Nashville, Tennessee, in a little kiosk recording studio, and I sent my audition off to the judges. I did not hear back from them until it was later in July. They asked me to come to Greensboro, and I had to have 5 songs ready to sing before the judges. And that was a Thursday. I had to perform on Sunday and have all the songs memorized. It was very interesting, to say the least. But the song that I chose to sing was Wind Beneath My Wings. And I was not nervous to perform before the judges, but I was ready to get it over with. We got there 8 o'clock in the morning. I performed at 10:30 that night. So it was a very long day for me, which was a struggle for me because at the particular time, I was a whole lot heavier than I am now. So it was a challenge. And we ended up leaving about 2:30 that morning after doing some things at the end to get everything ready, because I was passed on to boot camp, and I was grateful for that. The reaction of the judges was very positive for me. The things that Simon Cowell had to say for me were an encouragement to me, and it just happens to be some of the very things that I have thought of my own self, because I want to stand and sing again. I did stand and sing at one time, but it's been a very long time that I have stood and sang. But it's a goal of mine, and I guess this will be the first platform where you would hear it first, but I intend on going back to X Factor probably next year to at least offer to stand and sing that song, because I want the world to see that it can be done. I want to see that difficult circumstances can be conquered, and you can do what you set your mind to do.
I think Larry's got a question for you here. We've got, I'm really excited that Freddie is here, and it is just kind of almost comical that we are having such technical difficulties. So Larry has typed a question in here that says, what do you think entrepreneurs and business owners can learn from your failures you spoke of? I would like
to, pardon for getting in there on you, Dennis, but the failures that I have learned or that I've experienced in my own life have made good ground for me to learn from them, because I have found that failures for me have been a teacher, and they've helped me to know which way to go. I also believe in learning from the failures of others. To me, if there is a road map that says don't go this way or don't go that way, and someone has already walked that way, you take their lesson that they learned. And it's the same thing with business. If you find something that does not work and you have failed at it, you don't repeat it again, because you will get the same response from your action. With the failures that I have had, they have also been a sort of a friend to me, because they have propelled me on to find the working element for my own weight loss. And in business, it's the exact same way. Failure is not an end, only if you let it. Failure is, to me, a boost, so that you can keep going and find the thing that works. Because there is something that works. There is always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. We've always heard that. And that is the case. You can always make it, but you have to learn from your failures. And let your failures become your friend instead of your enemy and your downfall. Don't let them define you. Let them redefine you.
I think that's very important. Let them redefine you. Larry just typed too. Let me bring Larry up here on the screen. I know that we're having our sound stuff. At least those of you watching will be able to see him smiling right now. He said that failure should truly be called learning, not just failure. He says something that I always love too, and that is failure is not just for losers anymore. We need to realize that failure is part of succeeding. So just to share that with you, I know that Larry would love to make sure that you understand that failure is part of the process. So we're having fun with this time delay here, and I think we're going to go to break in about 15 seconds. So we're going to see if that works. Everything else is not working today, so if we don't go to commercial, then we'll just keep the show going. But we should start in about 3 seconds here, and then we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Saturday Morning CEO Radio Show. We are so glad to have you back on the air. We are experiencing all kinds of fun sound delays today, and I'm going to try to put Larry on next to ask a question. Let's see, Larry, let's see, I've got to type a little chat thing to him so that he knows to ask a question, because they have a huge time delay on their sound. Okay, so here's his question then, is when did you realize you had a calling to serve other people? That's your question, Freddie.
I realized I had a calling to serve other people when I was very young. I came to the Lord when I was 7, and I realized I had a calling to serve other people when I was 10. I really did not know what that meant until later in life. I entered into ministry when I was 16, and full-time ministry after I graduated college. But it has been the cry of my heart all of my life. I don't remember a time when it wasn't the case. I love people. I love to see people succeed and to conquer their failures and things that keep them bound. It has been up until now. I've not experienced the call on my life to the extent that I have to where I'm at today. I feel like I'm helping more people today than I ever have, which is very rewarding. I realized that my weight issues, this question is from Larry, I realized that my weight issues were getting in the way of my living life. Right after, actually it was before I got married in 1996. The first thing that I encountered was it was hard to put my socks on. It was I needed oxygen to put my socks on. And of course, it gave me repose because I knew I needed to do something about it. But a month into our marriage, my wife began to give me care, which was it was very it was sad for me because I didn't want her to have to do that. And from that point on, I began to lose many of the freedoms that a lot of folks take for granted in daily living. I could only walk short distances without losing or becoming short of breath. Hard to walk upstairs. Yet I was still holding down a full-time job in ministry. And then in 1998, I happened to remember when it was at Christmas. I was directing the choir and could only stand up for probably half of the Christmas cantata that we were doing, and had to take a seat and finish directing it. And I just began to see my life continue to decline like that until I finally took a sabbatical from ministry to deal with my weight, which has been a very long time, from 1998 to 2009. It was like a deep hole of depression. I did not want to live, but the Lord extended grace to me, and I have seen a display of grace and glory extended to me, and that I have been able to conquer a lot of what tried to kill me. It literally tried to kill me, and I can see the light of a new day, and it gives me hope, and that I want to pass that on to other people. To now, since X Factor, we travel on the weekends, not every weekend, some weekends, to different churches and sing. I will sing and give my testimony of what happened. It's sort of like what I'm telling y'all today, and my wife and I will minister to hurting people. It's been my heart for a very long time to be able to evangelize, and although I'm not able to do that to the extent that I want to do yet, I anticipate the day when we'll be able to go all the time, which should not be very far from now, because I'm getting closer to my goal. I want to be 250 pounds, and I'm quickly approaching that goal, which will help me realize my dreams.
Tell us how you market yourself in your ministry. What do you do to get the word out there to let people know that you're available?
I'm helping to, I have used a lot of the media that is offered that is free, because my wife and I live on a very fixed income, and things like Facebook, Google, Google Plus, and things like that. We use that to get the word out, word of mouth. I have a business card. It was probably one of the best investments that I ever made. Found a place that did them real cheap, and you got like $1 million for a penny. It was awesome. So we began to pass those out. Also, we have a website which is free, and it's www.freddiecombs.weebly.com, and we use those things. And that's the best way we do. That's the way we roll right now, because it's cheap. Until we can do better, that's what we'll do.
Well, I want to ask you another question: is where do you see yourself in about 5 years from now?
In 5 years from now, I see myself traveling the world. I've always wanted to travel, and I see myself traveling the world, singing, ministering to hurting people, and trying to bring up others to do what I do. To me, if you can't deposit yourself into someone else, the hope of a personal legacy dies. You have to put yourself out to other people to help them become and be what you are, pass yourself along. But that's what I want to be doing in 5 years. I would like to have turned this world upside down and become a servant to others.
So why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers how they can contact you? I know you gave your website, but anything else would be helpful. And what would you want them to do? Invite you out to their church to speak or to sing?
You can contact me through Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I have a fan page. I have a fan page. I have a personal Facebook page. I am on Google Plus. They contact me. My wife and I will be glad to come to where they are and sing, church services, any kind of banquet or anything like that. We do inspirational, motivational speaking. We are at people's service, and that's what we want to do. As I said earlier, my website address is www.freddiecombs.weebly.com. It's at the bottom of my screen here. My Facebook page, you'll notice it's a picture of me preaching. So when you go across it, you'll see it and you find it. I'm the big guy in the picture. It's easy. It's really easy.
Well, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the future shows we've got coming up here. We've got all kinds of other guests that are going to be coming on. We've only got about 8 minutes left on the show, so and I apologize to everybody for all of our time delays here. We've got our studio manager is headed in here to try to fix the problems, but 8 minutes left in the show. I don't think we're going to get very far with it today, but we're definitely going to have Freddie back on the show sometime real soon, and let him actually be here when the equipment is working properly. That'll be excellent. So we had one caller on with us, Sheila, who's asked a couple little questions here, but she can hear us fine. So I don't know if it's on our end or on somebody else's end, but I definitely am glad to have Freddie on the air. We just had a guest cancellation too on a show coming up, so I'll get with him offline afterwards. One of the big things I think with setting goals as a business owner is that we tend to just think of what our capabilities are, and we get disappointed when we don't meet them. But there is so much information out there now. When I first started my own business when I was 9 years old, there were only libraries. That's where you got information. But with Google and YouTube and everything else that's out there today, we can learn how to do just about anything. So I think that we shouldn't limit ourselves to what we know how to do now. We should be free to educate ourselves. One thing that Freddie talked about when Larry and I did our pre-show call, I asked him what he felt why did his weight loss work this time, and he had failures in the past with his weight loss. He'd lose it and gain it back, and he said it was knowledge. So having the knowledge of what to do it right, like what foods he needed to be eating rather than just what not to eat, that knowledge was really helpful. The same in business. When you're in business and you don't know what to do, you need to learn what you need to do. So that information is so available on the internet, but it's also, to tie into what Freddie was talking about before with his wife being there, a support system for him, is that as we have mentors who will help us along in business, then we can draw from them and draw from their experience, and that becomes our knowledge. Larry just chatted here too that knowledge plus action equals results. So it's very true that we can know what to do. As Freddie talked about when we had our pre-show call, he got the knowledge of what to eat and what not to eat. But had he not followed through with that, he wouldn't be getting anywhere. So that's that is the way that it works in life. We gain the knowledge and then we do something about it. And to quote Yoda, he says, don't. We can never. There's no try. We either do or we don't do. So we gain knowledge and then we do or we don't do, and then we get our results. So I think that's very important, and I appreciate Larry's comment there. We will have Freddie back on the show here pretty soon. We've got about a little over 4 minutes left on the show, so I'm going to type a quick chat to Freddie and have him leave us with a little golden nugget of information for anyone who's maybe trying to lose weight. Actually, before we do that, Larry just posed a little thought here. He said, Freddie seems to be living a life of significance, and significance lasts longer than success. So that's true, Larry. You brought up a point that I noticed also was when Freddie was talking about where he sees himself in 5 years, he talked about helping other people who were trying to accomplish the same thing that he has accomplished and helping them through it. And that is right on, Freddie. When you're thinking about what you're going to do to help others and to be significant in this world and in this life, it transcends generations. So got about 3 minutes left, and I'm going to turn some time now to Freddie to give us some final bit of information for maybe people that are trying to lose weight or start a business. So you'll have a little silence here. Sorry about that.
Get lots of emails. How are you losing the weight? How are you losing the weight? The first thing I tell them is you have to eat, because I spent a lot of my life starving trying to lose weight. My nutritionist told me that I have to eat protein, and I began to eat protein, lots of green vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, things that are fresh, no white foods, no processed foods. I try to keep fruits to a minimum, but if I eat a fruit, it's usually a strawberry because it's lower in carbohydrates. To stay away from soda or carbonated drinks, drink plenty of water and get lots of exercise. And I've not been very successful at this, but it's very important to keep a journal. In business, as far as reaching your goals with business, it's important to stay on top and keep always whatever you say that you're going to do it. Keep your schedules. Keep everything up to date. One of my things I can't stand is to go to someone's website and it be out of date, or there be emails that aren't working, and you get a mailer demon back or something like that. I like excellence in everything that I do, and if you keep everything nice and running and everything's crisp and clean, to me that speaks of excellence. And I believe in doing things in a spirit of excellence, and I think it will help you go far in weight loss and in business.
Hey, thanks a lot, Freddie. I really appreciate having that spirit of excellence is so important. And we have accomplished here probably the impossible. You guys have had such a huge delay in trying to hear what we're saying, and we were able to pull this show off. We are going to have Freddie back on, and we're also going to have him on our TV show with Sandra D. Robinson at some time here in the very near future. Larry just brought up the excellence. It's excellence, not perfection, that we want to reach. We've got about 30 seconds left on the show, and I just want to thank everybody for hanging in there with us today. This is the most technical difficulty that we have had yet, but we've overcome. And I think that was the message from this show, is that we shall overcome. It doesn't matter if you weigh over 900 pounds. It is time to lose the weight. You just do it, and you overcome all the challenges that come your way. And that's what's most important, is that you take that time for you and do what you need to do. Until next time,